Now, to share her insights on the government's response to the ongoing challenges and what needs to be done to protect Filipino communities from leptospirosis, we are joined by House Deputy Speaker and former Health Secretary Representative Janette Garin. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Magandang umaga, Gretchen, and thank you for inviting me.
Congresswoman, you've raised your concern over the rising number of leptospirosis cases in the country. To your view, what could be the main factors contributing to the rise?
Kinulang, no? Kinulang tayo ng communication and real action on the grounds. Because marami ang, we should not divert the issue of high cases, increasing cases of leptospirosis to the investigation and flood control projects. Dapat ipagpatuloy yung investigasyon na yan, but that cannot be pinpointed as to the cause. Because these projects that are being investigated are recent na pinahinto yung pondo. We are talking about possibly failed project is in the past. But on leptospirosis, maski ulan pa lang, maski walang bagyo, marami talaga ang kaso. Kasi the rats are endemic in the country. So what do? It's a preventable illness. The spirochete can actually be, even if it enters the body of a patient, prophylaxis or prevention is better than cure. So yung doxycycline, 2 tabletas, may sugat ka man or wala, nakainom ka man ng baha or wala, lumangoy ka man sa baha o hindi. As long as you were exposed, aggressive dapat ang Department of Health dito. We have 3 things: prepositioning of drugs at the lower level, even in the schools where evacuation centers are being conducted. Aggressive reminder during and after the typhoon. Ang dami kasi nating kasamahan sa barangay and sa LGUs. We just need to keep on prodding them. Sa mga evacuation centers, okay, nga, bigay ang gamot. Nga, bigay ang gamot. You cannot just leave it and presume that people would know and people would recall. Yung bahay-bahay na ginagawa ng ating barangay health workers dun sa mga flooded areas, nandiyan yan dati. Medyo kinulang at nawala yung karamihan ng ating response ngayon. So, we need the DOH to be more responsive on the ground, strong partnership with the LGUs.
Okay, hindi po ba parang ito pong rise in cases ay normal naman ho pagdating sa rainy season? Talagang, syempre po, tag-ulan po talaga. Isn't this a normal pattern, a normal trend that we see also an increase in the number of getting leptospirosis? Or is this
It is
unusual?
expected. In fact, if we compare the number of cases last year as compared to this year with the same duration, with the same time, with the same month and the same day, mas mataas pa yung last year kesa ngayon. Kaya nga ando dun, we need to go back and say, we need to be more aggressive. Hindi pwede magbibigay ng isang advisory ang Department of Health tapos wala na. Dapat that advisory should transcend to every Filipino family that is affected by the rainy season and the flooding. Kasi minsan maski walang baha, tubig lang na sumasakay ka ng motor, tumalsik yung tubig sa mata or sa mouth mo, any opening in the body, that can still cause leptospirosis. Kaya nga, kapag hindi sigurado, better be on the safe side, take doxycycline, 2 kapsula or 2 tableta within 72 hours after exposure. Ang mahirap kasi the preposition drugs are either in the central office or in the regional office. And during the typhoon and after the typhoon, everybody is busy cleaning, handling the feeding programs and facilitating the people in the evacuation centers. This should be prepositioned at the level of the barangays.
Okay, so sa ngayon hindi po na nagkaroon ng maayos na sistema sa pagpapadala nitong mga doxycycline papunta sa mga schools and LGUs. Yun po ba yung problema dito?
Ang nangyayari kasi like our experience when we call people, it's prepositioned in the regional offices. Kunyari sa probinsya, malayo ang regional office, naputol ang daan. And this has been an issue for the past 2 or 3 budget hearings na paulit-ulit na sinasabi, and the DOH naman, in fairness to them, will accept it. Kaya lang, they have to walk the talk. In saying that yes, it is needed, it should be converted into actions on the ground. Tapos kunyari nga, natapos na yung baha, meron pang mga konting baha dyan, nagbabahay-bahay ang ating barangay health workers. Of course, they're under the LGUs, but the DOH can always collaborate with them. So we need a more proactive health workforce or health direction. Kasi kung binahay-bahay mo yan, o sino dito yung nabasa ng tubig ulan or tubig baha?
Yes.
Sino dito yung naglakad habang binabaha? Nga, okay, bigay ng gamot. Nga, bigay ng gamot. Kasi if you tell them, oh, ando dun yun sa central office, andun sa regional office, kuha lang kayo. Eh hindi na nga sila makagalaw dahil sinasalba o nililinis yung kanilang bahay or naghahanap ng pagkain or nagtatrabaho. So these are simple solutions to a major problem.
Ibig sabihin po, there should be a higher sense of urgency from the Department of Health to institutionalize the way that this is given in a preventive way rather than in just have it as a cure after.
Definitely, because when the 24 to 72 hours, pag malagpasan mo yan, wala nang epekto ang doxycycline. In this case, it's prevention. That's why our hospitals are flooded.
Correct.
Ang daming pasyente. Ngayon, doon na tayo gagalaw. O sige, lagyan ito ng parang green lane. Mabilis sila. I-prioritize ito. But the real essence of healthcare there is kung lahat yan, or sabihin natin hindi mo naabutan lahat, pero karamihan dyan ay napangangamo, nalagyan mo ng 2 gamot at pinainom, sana hindi magiging ganito. Kasi paulit-ulit na to, Gretchen eh.
Correct.
And there's a manner of preventing it. Alam na ng buong matagal na, and there's a budget in the Department of Health that can be used and that should be used.
Pero ang doxycycline po, kailangan po ng prescription, no? Bago ka makakuha nito?
No, maraming binibili na doxycycline ang Department of Health. It is prepositioned supposedly in the regional offices. For the past 2 budget hearings, I've been communicating with the leadership of DOH openly during budget deliberations. Bakit hindi nyo ilagay dun sa mga bayan? Or, mas maganda pa nga, like kami sa mga probinsya, bakit hindi natin ilagay doon sa mga principal's office? Kasi doon tumatakbo yung mga gym na sa school, doon nag-evacuate. At least doon, yung ating mga principal, matuturuan naman yung ating mga teachers and the admin officers there, or yung BHW pupunta doon. So lahat ng ando doon na willing uminom, ay bibigyan mo ng gamot. It's free eh. And kung kinukulang man, may quick response fund ang DOH na agad-agad binibili nila ito in terms of emergency. Pero ang nangyayari, the medicines are there, it's left in the storage rooms. Kung hindi pa kailangan, dun pa kukuha, magre-requisition pa. Parang napakatagal ng proseso. By the time it reaches the victims or those exposed to the waters during the rainy season and the typhoon, wala na. Nag-lapse ng 72 hours. Ngayon, dun na tayo nagiging aggressive. O magbantay kayo ng sintomas. Kapag nilalagdat kayo, kapag nagiging dark color yung ihi nyo, punta kaagad sa hospital. But the point here is, leptospirosis is a traitor illness. The spirokit is there in your body. You don't feel anything, but once symptoms are there, there's a point of irreversibility. Kasi hindi mo matansya yung degree of attack niya. So, why do we have to wait for that? Ito, napakamura ng doxycycline. May pondo ang gobyerno, pinamimili yan, madaling ipamigay yan. Bakit kailangan hintayin mong sino ang hihingi or kukuha pa dun sa inyong warehouse or dun sa regional office or dun sa central office?
Okay, so yung nabanggit niyo pong sintomas, yung lagnat at yung pangingitim ng ihi, yun lang po ba yung pinaka-telling?
Hindi siya pangingitim. It's dark-colored. It can be dark yellow. Well, if it's orange already, ibig sabihin yan, meron ng bleeding sa loob. So, medyo hindi na maganda kasi sa loob yan, matindi na yung epekto ng spirokit dun sa katawan mo. Panghihina ng katawan. Others would have slightly yellowish eyes. Kasi the spirokit that causes leptospirosis, the leptospira, it attacks your blood vessels. And ultimately, paborito niyang atakihin yung kidneys ng pasyente. So, you see, that's why the dialysis center becomes overloaded. So, ito yung mga hinihintay na sintomas. Hindi ba naman pwedeng nilagnat lang or whatever, and that will again congest the hospitals. But, if we have repeated information up to the grounds where all the health workforce with the LGUs are mobilized together with the directions being set by the Department of Health. Kukonti. Kukonti ang magiging ganyan.
Okay. Ito po ay pwedeng i-take bago lumusong sa kahit anong baha. Pwede po bang ganon? Na kung wari
Yes.
sa mga responder po
Well,
natin or
it's best,
kung
it's
naasahan
best
niyo na po na
given as a
binabaha kayo.
prophylactic.
Oo. What do you mean by that?
A prevention. Kung na-expose ka,
okay.
let's say example, umulan, tapos dumaan ka sa kalye na sa pananaw mo may daga dun sa area, you can take it. Kasi usually, dati, ina-advise siya pag meron kang mga sugat, no, in between your toes or may sugat ka sa paa. Kasi malambot yung balat in between the toes. So, maski walang sugat, pwede yang mapasok ng leptospira. Minsan naman yung iba nasa motor, tapos minsan tumatawa or naglalakad tumatawa, may tumalsik na tubig sa mouth or sa eyes. Those can be point of entries, no, of the spirochete. So, any area na may tubig na posible yung ihi ng daga ay dinala niya at napalangoy yung spirochete, those are red flags. Kaya kailangan uminom ka agad ng doxycycline, 2 tabletas. There's actually kung may sugat ka, iba yung pag-inom mo, no? Pero pag the usual is actually 2 tablets within 24 to 72 hours. Kaya dati, ang experience kasi ng DOH, andun yung gamot, hindi nagagamit. So, we innovated na lahat ng evacuation centers yan, pinupuntahan, sumasabay pa nga ang DOH dati sa DSWD, pamigay ng pagkain, pamigay ng food pack, o bigay, nakapila yan sa evacuation centers. Then sa mga barangay naman, andun yung ating mga BHW, nagbabahay-bahay, o sino po dito ang nabasa ng tubig baha, o sino dito yung naglakad, yon. Eto naman. So, nagiging naaalala ng tao because the typhoon victims are preoccupied with a lot of things. Minsan, pag meron isang advisory ang DOH tapos wala na, nakakalimutan nila yon.
Yun nga po actually hindi nga lang din po yung mga nasa evacuation center, pati yung mga nagtatrabaho sa gitna ng matinding ulan. Katulad na lamang po ng mga riders natin, sino pa ba yung mga vendors natin, they should be able to access these. If for those listening who are always exposed, saan po ba minsan ngayon kasi kayo po ay nagko-call out na dapat ito po ay nasa mga eskwelahan, nasa mga LGU, pero usually nasa central or regional office lamang. I mean, where could we get a hold of doxycycline?
This is regularly procured by the Department of Health. Dina-download yan, binababa yan, dapat sa regional offices. Ang nangyayari kasi, kung hindi pa magbagyo, doon lang naaalala na magpaba. Tapos pag binaba mo sa regional office, ang sasabihin pa, kung kailangan ng mga bayan, sige, kung may sasakyan kayo, kunin nyo dito. So sa dami ng trabaho ng LGUs, nakakaligtaan na yon, especially in the rural areas, no? But then, doon naman sa mga may kaya, some LGUs, they actually buy that. Pero yung iba naman, they depend on the supply of the DOH. Now, pwede rin siyang bilhin. Kaya nga, nagbabantay din ang DTI niya na hindi tumaas ang presyo ng doxycycline tuwing tag-ulan. So, pwede siyang bilhin. Prescription is, pagkaintindi ko, hindi na hinahanapan ng prescription kapag gano'n na, mga tag-ulan at binabaha. And for those naman na talagang naghahanap ng prescription, they can, it's, marami ang mga doktor, even the government doctors, who actually prescribe it electronic prescription na. So, hindi na kailangan lumabas.
Yun nga po yung tatanungin ko sana, kasi sabi ng DOH tungkol sa prescription, talagang kailangan ng doctor's prescription because for the wrong intake, the drug may become ineffective against bacteria and treating simple infections may become difficult. That this could lead to serious illnesses or complications if not taken the right way. What would you have to say about that?
Well, that is in relation to abuse of antibiotics, specifically those antibacterial medications being used for pneumonia, lung infections, and other infections. But in the case of doxycycline, this is targeted towards a spirochete, not a na it's not an antibacterial, hindi siya yung antibiotic na sinasabi ng DOH dun sa antimicrobial resistance. The statement that they're actually saying is related to abuse of medicines na kunyari, ako nagkasakit, binigyan ako ng
Oho.
antibiotic, dapat 7 days. Hindi ko inubos, no? Ang ano doon is dapat ubusin. Now, ininom ko lang ng 4 na araw kasi feeling ko gumaling na ako. Yung 3 araw, ibibigay ko sa kapitbahay. Yung bang nagpre-prescribe ang kapitbahay para dun sa sakit sa mga baga or whatever, pneumonia, flu, na yung flu dapat hindi naman yan binibigyan ng antibiotic. Yung konting kibot lang talagang antibiotic agad. Parang ginawa nilang gamot sa ubo at sipon yung antibiotic. Yun yung mali. Yun ang hindi dapat. But in this case, we're talking about doxycycline, which is a prophylactic drug against leptospirosis. Prophylaxis means baka nakapasok na sa katawan mo yung incubation period na kung saan magiging aggressive ang spirochete, dun ka papasok. Parang you won't allow it to multiply, you won't allow it to act on your body. Kumbaga, kusa mo siyang mapapawala without acting on your body.
So,
it's
meron pong dalawang
basically it's
klase.
prevention.
May dalawang klase po ng doxycycline. Merong prophylactic and meron yung post-exposure. Chemoprophylactic, tama po ba yun? So, yung prescription is required for the post-exposure? Kasi sabi po ng
Yes,
Philippine Institute of
it's-
Health that
it's-
doxycycline is an antibiotic. Oo.
Yes, it's ang doxycycline kasi na ginagamit natin for prophylactic, yun ang pinamimigay natin. Now, the doxycycline that they are referring to na yung ginagamit na natin dun sa malala na mga chest and lung infections, in the current times, medyo konti na ang gumagamit nun. No? So, marami na kasi yung options. Marami na yung
okay.
tinatawag natin
That makes it
broad
clearer.
spectrum. No? Marami na yung alternative na tina-target na yung mas maraming organs, no, or mas maraming bakterya na pwedeng umatake sa isang tao. So, yun po yung difference. And that's why, andun kasi yung, if we are going to say, ay hindi, wag nating painumin kasi baka naman hindi siya napasok ng tubig baha. Over the years, per experience of the Department of Health, ang daming magugulat ka, ba't biglang nagyelo, ba't biglang dinala sa emergency room, tapos mag-emergency dialysis, hindi naman to lumusob sa tubig baha. And then we realize, maybe naglaro or natalsikan ng tubig, tapos natamaan. So you have to weigh the pros and cons. No, hindi naman araw-araw iinumin mo 'yon. Hindi naman araw-araw na umuulan ng todo at hindi naman araw-araw na bumabaha. But that protection window where you need to be protected, if you miss that, it will cost the life of a person. So sayang.
As we know, leptospirosis can be fatal if not treated. Bilang panghuli ho, no, kayo po ay isang former DOH secretary. Kayo po, nakausap niyo na po ba ang DOH tungkol dito sa mga recommendations na ito? What are you planning on your end as a legislator to be able to improve the situation?
Well, every budget hearing, we have been discussing it with them. The problem is they would make a lot of promises, but implementation on the grounds becomes different. And that's why when it was again twisted to point at the flood control projects that are being investigated, and when I was asked about it, I answered that, teka, wag nating ilihis. Kasi sa susunod na tag-ulan, mangyayari na naman ito. Let me just be clear. Okay, let us proceed with the investigation of this flood control projects na substandard. Ang unang tanong, nasaan ba ito? Because I don't think these are in the areas where there are a lot of leptospirosis. There are a lot of cases of leptospirosis. Magkaiba eh. So tuloy, mawawala ulit yung iisipin ng tao, ay hindi, kaya pala kami nagkasakit kasi yung flood control. Hindi eh. Part of that, if you have really good flood control projects and good garbage disposal, then we would have less flood, but then the rain will still be there, so people will still get exposed. There can still be cases of leptospirosis. So kaya doon tayo bumalik sa ano ba yung prevention, no? At the same time, itong mga area na marami tayong mga pasyente, hindi ito ang sinasabi ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na merong questionable flood control projects. So magkaiba yung lugar. That's why we have to go back. What really caused this surge? It's because people forget. that there is a prevention if you get exposed. And people forget, nandiyan dyan lang yung gamot. And that is the job of the Department of Health to really go down to the grounds. We cannot just do lip service. Kailangan natin bumaba kasi kailangan tayo ng taong bayan.
And the flood control projects audit will be the job of our lawmakers, and of course the commission audit to include that, no. Sana nga po magawa nito ng paraan at solusyon kasi meron po mga buong bayan din nakalubog sa matinding baha, medyo matagal yung exposure. So as we know, we have been exposed to this kind of situation for a very long time, and we should get used to it by now. Maraming salamat po for shedding light on this situation, on the rising leptospirosis cases in the country. We have House Deputy Speaker Representative Janette Garin joining us today.